Let's bring in Rick Stroud, who covers the Buccaneers for the Tampa Bay Times. Unlike anybody else does, he also hosts Sports Day Tampa Bay podcast. Before we talk about tonight, Rick, with the Buccaneers, go back to when they were, 7-5? You had 3 losses in 4 games. What was happening then, and then what happened after that changed the Buccaneers season?
I think what was happening was sheer panic at that point. But, it was a situation where Tom Brady got with Bruce Arians. They were supposed to play golf. The league wouldn't let them. They had sort of some long telephone conversations, I think, without Byron Leftwich. And basically, Tom said, hey, here's what I need. I need more play action. I need more, motion, pre-snap motion. We got to run the ball more. We got to be more committed to this. And I think it sort of evolved the offense a little quicker towards the second half. And they were a tired football team. They had played a lot of games. They played, a couple of 3-point losses to the Rams and the Chiefs. And they really just felt like they needed that break. And they came back and they caught fire.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting that teams always have these moments where there's a dip, some point in this season, and then they start to figure it out later in the season. Those teams that are caught fire, they have momentum going into the postseason. How confident were you, though, in the last month of the season, if I would have said, hey, this team's going to win the Super Bowl?
I think after they got on a run, just talking to the coaches and watching them, they really felt like they were getting better each week. The schedule got a little easier. They came out, I think they were down 17 points to the Falcons, and it was really dark and gloomy. But Brady came back, and I think he threw 5 touchdown passes that day. And, they just felt like the more time they were together, I think people underestimate, what COVID and Tom changing, systems and not knowing the plays. I mean, he's trying to memorize plays on the way on the bus to New Orleans, and so there was a big learning curve there. And I just think they got better, as they played.
Also, Brady played the season with a partially torn MCL. How did they hide that?
That's a good question, man. I wish I had the answers to all these. I'm not sure. I know that Tom just told them he was fine. I guess he got a physical after he, signed his contract when he was in New York, but basically it was him and Alex Guerrero spending, 12, 14 hours a day trying to stabilize that knee. He said sometimes he'd go to bed with it all taped up and things like that. So they gave him a lot of time off the second half of the year. He took some days and he got through it. He didn't make a big deal out of it, but he needed
do you
the surgery.
think Bruce Arians knew that Tom Brady had a knee that needed surgery?
I think he knew that he had a problem, yeah. I mean, I don't know to what extent. Look, he was never on an injury report. We can get into that, but I think at the end of the day, he was never going to not play with it, right? He started with this same knee that he finished the season with. It wasn't something that was going to keep him out of a game. And it's sort of like, don't ask, don't tell. I don't think they wanted to know what was wrong with that, but he had worn a brace for 13 years, so he was still wearing one.
Also, when you sit down with Brady and you come to the COVID topic, and I was curious how surprised you were that Tom answered it, honestly, that he had COVID and maybe got it when they had the Super Bowl armada.
Yeah, well, you never ask a question you don't have an answer to, Dan. That's the key. And I sort of waited. We were running out of time because he gave me 14 of the best minutes of my life. So I had to ask at the end there as we were leaving. And he just, he was just wanted to move on. I think he said, yeah, I had it. And a lot of people got sick, I think, at the boat parade, not just the avocado tequila and stuff. But I think he felt like, it's in his past, and he just said, I'm worried. He turned, he blocked and bridged and said, I'm worried about this year because I think we're going to have a lot more problems with everything that's opened up, and even though guys are vaccinated, they're still going to get sick, and, we could have players missing games. And before they went to Houston, they had 2, defensive tackles, and Ndamukong Suh being one of them that couldn't play in the preseason game. So, that's kind of what he's thinking about is how this can affect them going forward.
It sounds strange to say, but is this Super Bowl or bust?
With Tom Brady?
With the Buccaneers, yeah.
Well, yeah, what's a good season when you have this guy, right? It hasn't been done, since he did it 17 years ago. but that's why they're playing. And I don't think he's going to let them let off the gas. I mean, there's a lot of talk about complacency and things like this. I mean, it's incredible, Dan. I mean, when you see what this guy's able to do, he told me his arm feels like he's 24. He's playing his 300th game today, 300th start or 300th game, and that sets up nicely because I think his 400th game will be against Arch Manning, who will be going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, there's no slowdown in this guy. I'm telling you, if he feels healthy, and I've talked to Alex Guerrero about this, I think he's going to go beyond just this season and next season. It would not surprise me at all if that's the case.
Yeah, I know. I saw the quote from your column where he said, "I feel like I'm 24." Usually that leaves you. When you ask a quarterback, what's the first thing that leaves you, they might talk about some sharpness. They might talk about, usually it's arm strength there. Is Brady throwing like he's 24?
Well, I wasn't there when he was 24. I saw him in a lot of Super Bowls, and everybody on that staff says he's throwing the ball as well as they can ever detect that he did on film. So, I mean, he's a guy, we talked about this, that he grew up and he always had elbow problems in baseball playing as a kid. He had elbow problems in Michigan, and that's how he got with Alex Guerrero because they were going to IR him at one point in New England. He went out there to California. He was working with Willie McGinnis, and he just says that, he's never had any problems since then. So his arm has been great. And, the way he takes care of himself with TB12, he's got 34 guys on this roster going to TB12, which is a mile from the facility, getting worked on by body coaches each week. So it's, you might have a bunch of Buccaneers playing until they're in their 40s.
Now, does the team pick up the tab for that?
It's a great question, Dan. You'll have to read the stories about that. I don't want to disclose everything just yet, but
okay.
I think the players do. I actually think that it's on the players. I know this in New England they did.
Yeah, although I don't think Bill liked that.
No, apparently not. That changed pretty quickly.
By the way, I know that you went through some lean years down there, but you've got it made now. I mean, come on, it's great to be in Tampa.
It's Tampa Bay.
Oh, my bad.
It is. We got the hockey team. This is a big night. I mean, after they won Super Bowl 37, to tell you how things go in Tampa, their greatest moment, right? They win 0-2 Super Bowl, and then we're at the owners' meetings, and they find out they've got to open at Philly. They're the only Super Bowl team before or since it's opened on the road. And that just fed right into John Gruden's paranoia. And we're at the owners' meeting. He's like, I'll tell you what, man. I'm around here singing "Why Eagles Why," you know what I mean? Why do we gotta? So yeah, it was. So this is a big deal. This is a really big deal.
That is well done. Are you surprised at all with what's happening or not happening with the Raiders with John Gruden?
Not surprised. Love John as a football coach. He's a terrible GM. He's got Mike Mayock, who's probably not getting to pull the strings, and I think John will stay and Mayock will go, and they'll bring in Bruce Allen. I mean, that's what he does. So, terrific play caller, great motivator, likes the quarterback he doesn't have. I can go on and on, but I'm not surprised at all.
Have fun tonight. We'll be checking back in with you. Always great to talk to you, Rick.
Good to talk to you, Dan. Thanks.
That's Rick Stroud. He's done a great job covering the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Times.